Hello there, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jay the Bear, and in this video I'm going to be going over the various changes in the 2.5.0 patch for Dead by Daylight. Let's get into it. So, this patch is long-awaited and contains numerous bug fixes, but there are also a few very meaty sections which contain the tasty changes to the gameplay that we've been waiting for since this patch was released to the PTB. So, those are going to be what I'm focusing on. I will leave a link to the full patch notes in the video description. In order, the things I'm going to be covering are features and content, audio adjustments, killer changes, map changes, status effect updates, survivor perk changes, UI updates, and miscellaneous changes that don't really fit into any other specific category. I'll talk a little about each of these things as I run through them, so let's get into this. First off, we have features and content. So, feature, added controls to change characters in the lobbies and the store without accessing the character selection panel, added new main menu idle animations for all survivors, these can be observed at the campfire. Clicking on an unpurchased character from offline lobby will automatically redirect to this character store page. All in all, these are just a few nifty little changes they did to polish things up a bit, it seems. On to audio adjustments, they changed the lobby music back to the default music, remixed volume levels for footsteps, music, and voiceovers, and removed the attenuation on voiceovers and footsteps that were integrated in the 2.4.0 release. Okay, so this change was really needed, I feel, because I feel like they really screwed up footsteps and survivor voiceovers like a lot in the 2.4.0 patch. It was super hard to hear injured survivors. In fact, I'm pretty sure the only way that you could hear them without being right next to them was with Strider, in my personal experience. But after 2.5.0, now I can hear survivors without Strider, and I can hear footsteps again, and I can even hear their breathing. So I feel like this is pretty good. Okay, next up is the killer perk changes. We have Bamboozle, updated text to reflect that the perk does not work with pallets. Blood Warden added a timer on the perk in the HUD to better indicate when and for how long Blood Warden is active. Iron Maiden reduced survivor location notification from 4 seconds to 3 seconds. Spies from the Shadows increased the chances of visual notification to 100% for all tiers, added crow outline in the loud noise notification, and increased the notification range from 16, 24, 36 meters to 32, 40, and 48 meters. Surveillance increased audible repair sounds by a distance of 8 meters. Any regressing generators will be highlighted by a white aura. If regression on a generator is interrupted, it will be highlighted for a yellow aura for 8, 12, 16 seconds. Okay, so the real stars of the show here are Spies from the Shadows and Surveillance, as they both received pretty large buffs. Now, I really can't speak for Spies from the Shadows, as I never really used it before this patch, and I don't really plan on using it after this patch. I prefer different methods to track survivors. However, the changes made to Surveillance are quite good, and in fact, I think they make Surveillance quite a good perk that can fit into any killer build. Next up, we have some actual killer changes. So first we have the Legion, with manually ending Feral Frenzy no longer depletes the remainder of your power gauge, and reduce the intensity of the blurred VFX during Frenzy. And then we have the Pig, adjusted the combat straps add-on in accordance to the crouch duration change, decreased value from 1 second to 0.3 seconds, changed the terror radius fade time for when crouching/uncrouching to fade in/fade out at around 4 seconds, down from 6.6 seconds, decreased the base crouch and uncrouch duration from 2 seconds to 1.3 seconds, increased terror radius from 28 meters to 32 meters. They also did a couple scoring adjustments on her. For a hit during a dash attack, you will now get 500 points instead of 250, and the score for initiating a dash attack has been increased from 50 to 200. Now, obviously the star here is really the Pig, and just in time for the Chinese New Year, Year of the Pig. Initially, I thought these changes weren't very good, and ultimately didn't amount to much. However, after playing her for about 10 or so more matches, I do feel that she is ultimately in a better place than she was pre-2.5.0, and while I feel a little disappointed that none of her add-ons were addressed, I feel like these changes overall are quite good for her and do make her better than she was before. Next, we move on to some map changes. So they've added a few extra hook spawning spots around certain buildings to improve hook distribution. They adjusted the height of bulrushes on the backwater swamp, increased the spawning probability of the hooks in the center portion of the backwater swamp to prioritize this position in favor of the map edges, now forcing a hook to spawn in the back of the preschool on Badham Preschool if the basement is not in the basement there. Wow, that was a doozy to say. Changed the basement reference point used to calculate hook to basement distance to the top of the basement stairs instead of being in the middle of the basement. Added a new crow bomb to the map Grim Pantry. For reference, a crow bomb is something like on the Pale Rose where you approach the boat and the birds just go nuts and make a whole bunch of noise. Added a minimum distance between chests so that jigsaw boxes don't spawn too close together. Changed the amount and distribution of hooks for each map. Every map now has a baseline minimum distance between hooks, a minimum number of hooks, and a maximum number of hooks. Hook offerings now modify the newly introduced minimum distance between hooks. This distance will ultimately be ignored in the case where the minimum number of hooks requirement are not fulfilled. The effect of each offering is as such. Moldy oak equals minus 1.5 meters. Rotten oak equals minus 2.5 meters. Putrid oak equals minus 3.5 meters. And petrified oak equals plus 1 meter. Real quick, if none of that makes sense, it's kind of difficult to wrap your head around if you haven't seen the dev stream where they explain the new hook spawning system in detail. I will leave a link to that in the description so that if you have no idea what I'm talking about right here, you can go and check that out and get a better understanding of the whole situation. Reduced basement to hook minimum distance to 16 meters. Added a few extra signs to the game to help players navigate to the stairs. And totem placement improvements. Recent upgrades to the totem interaction method allows the level design team to place the totems closer to other objects, and as such, totem placement and hiding spots will be continuously improved starting with this update. Now, in regards to the new hook spawning system, I'm going to be totally honest, I really have not noticed that much of an effect at all. In fact, if I didn't know it was added to the game, I would not suspect there has been any change to the way hooks spawn. To me, it really just has been that negligible. Unfortunately, I can also say the same thing about totem spawns. I have seen precisely one very cheeky totem hiding spot. It's like behind a barrel in a corner. It's really cheeky. But more often than not, when I play killer, my hex totems get found within the first 45 seconds of a match and cleansed anyways. The good news is, this is a continual improvement they'll be making, so hopefully our hex totems will start to last a little bit longer in the future. Next up is status effect changes. All status effects that are timer based no longer stack or automatically reset the timer, but rather take the highest remaining status timer and ignore the other. If the new timer is the higher one, the previous timer is discarded and the status effect icon will visually reset to 100%. If the new timer is the lower one, the new timer is discarded and the status effect icon remains at its current progression. I am going to be entirely honest, I do not know what any of that means. I spent several minutes trying to figure out what it meant. I just can't seem to make sense of it, but they certainly seem to have changed something. So, now we move on to the survivor perk changes. Distortion. Updated text to reflect that this perk effect does not trigger when survivors are in the dying state or affected by traps. Leader. All action speeds with the exception of repair speed are increased to 15, 20, and 25% instead of 3, 6, and 9%. The effect now persists for 15 seconds after the perk owner is out of range. Only one leader effect can be active at a time. Prove Thyself. For every survivor working on a generator within a 4-meter range, gain 10% repair speed bonus. This same bonus is also applied to all other survivors within range. Gain 50, 75, 100% more blood points for co-op actions. Only one Prove Thyself effect is active at a time. Technician. All tiers reduce audible repair sounds by a distance of 8 meters, up from 0, -4, -8. Now, I really like these changes. I think they're very good. The leader perk has gone from a slightly questionable team support perk to a very good one. And Prove Thyself, is a direct counter to that pesky generator efficiency debuff you now get when multiple survivors are on a generator, plus you get extra blood points. Who doesn't love extra blood points? I mean, maybe if you have every perk for everyone ever in the game on every character, maybe you won't mind the blood points so much. But for most of us, we like blood points. Alright, on to the next thing. UI updates. The killer loadout is now hidden until the match is over. What this means is, if you get sacrificed, or you DC, or you get moried, or the entity comes down and he slaps you with his spider claw, and you get removed from the match, or anything that happens that would take you to the screen that you see at the end of a match, the killer's loadout will now be hidden until everybody has exited the match, until all survivors have been sacrificed, or all survivors have somehow been removed from the game. That loadout stays hidden. And you know what? This has been a long time coming, because I am so sick and tired of survivors telling everyone that I'm running fire up. Okay, all jokes aside, this is a good change. Like, a lot of people has been asking for this for like a long time. Items found in chests without already holding an item now require being picked up. This makes the interaction consistent with when you have an item already in hand and allows you to see what you have found before you commit to picking it up. Mori icon. If the killer has played a Mori offering, the offering's icon will be displayed in the in-game HUD when the conditions are valid and they are standing over a downed survivor. Hallelujah! I cannot tell you how many times I have brought a Mori and forgot to use it. Do you know how many more games I would have won if I would have just remembered I had a Mori? Like, a lot. Not to mention those things cost blood points. It'll be harder to forget that you have them now. On to the miscellaneous changes. Adjusted the vault mechanics so that survivors come out of the vault with momentum instead of being set to 0 movement speed after a vault. Thank goodness, because that was a really clunky mechanic. You know, you're running and you vault a window and then you just stop dead. I mean, it didn't really make sense. And with this change, vaulting feels a lot more fluid and it looks a lot more fluid, and it's great. It's good. After seeing the positive reaction to higher rarity items being looted from chests during the winter solstice, we've updated chest drop rates to support this after the event ends. Hallelujah, I can find rainbow maps in chests again. I hoard those things. I like hoarding maps. I don't know why I like the map. Maybe it's because I get 150 points for everything I discover on the map. I don't know. I just like the maps. Changed the medium vault speed to last 0.9 seconds, down from 1 second, so it's 10% faster. Created a new medium vault animation to distinguish the medium from the slow and fast vaults. Renamed the hooked scoring event to caught, and the hook scoring event to hooked. Fixed an issue that made it impossible to gain progress on co-op daily rituals. And they put in little parentheses here, the initiation. The big part of these changes, these miscellaneous changes, are the vaulting mechanics in Dead by Daylight. If you haven't played this yet, when you do, get into a game of Survivor and just play with the vaulting, and it's just so much more fluid and so much better, and I think they did a very good job on this. Also, the new medium vault animation is very good. That's pretty much it for the patch. There's a whole lot more to the patch notes, but that whole lot more is all bug fixes, and there will be a link to the patch notes down below if you'd like to read all of those. A couple of my personal favorite bug fixes this patch are the not being able to pick up survivors out of your traps as the trapper bug being fixed, and the fix an issue that caused a hook in the front of the warehouse to gloat in the Coal Tower map. I guess that specific hook was favored by the entity and it was allowed to gain the ability of speech. Honestly, I'd like a transcript of what it said now. Somebody at Behavior, get me one, please? With that being said, I do hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to leave a like and consider subscribing. Subscribing. I don't even know what subscribing is. And be sure to comment down below and tell me what you think of the patch. What's your favorite part of it? How do you think these buffs will affect Pig? Do you think they're good? Do you think they're bad? Be sure to tell me what you thought overall of the video. And if you really like the video, please consider sharing it with your friends and joining my Discord, link in the description. With all that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.